right, ladies and gentlemen, teased it earlier today. No better guy to have on when the Avalanche roll into Toronto than this guy right here, Mr. Adrian Dater. Dater, how's it going tonight, buddy?
You know what? I'm okay. Little bit of a quiet day here. No games today, no practices here today. So just ready for tomorrow. It seems like, we only get an Avalanche game every 5-6 days. Schedule in November was light. I know that'll change starting tomorrow in Toronto, which I think everybody's looking forward to watching that game, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, a little bit of news coming out of your guys' side of camp. A guy named Nathan Mckinnon might be skating back against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nothing to snub your nose at, I don't think.
No, he will be in the lineup tomorrow night, and that's certainly going to add some luster to this game, that's for sure. Two hot teams and two of the best players in the world going against each other, Matthews versus Mckinnon. It should be a fun one, that's for sure.
What do you expect tomorrow? Obviously, Nathan Mckinnon coming back off COVID protocol, but what do you expect from him? Have you been seeing him skate, anything like that? Are the wheels there? Is it going to take him a little bit of time, or is he just such a good talent that it's going to be there right away?
Yeah, he had a protocol earlier. He's coming off a lower body injury.
Okay.
His latest one. So he looked great yesterday. He was flying around at practice. I got some video of it, and he definitely didn't look slow at all out there. I guess the big question is, how are the Avalanche going to readjust to having Nate back in? I mean, they went 7-1-0 without him, and pretty much, dominated most of those wins. Winning on the puck line most every night. Of course you want McKinnon back in your lineup. That's silly to think otherwise, but I think I'm interested to see just how, Nate going to be able to keep up with the rest of the players that are playing so well on his team, and, how's he going to fit back in on a team that's been tearing it up of late?
Well, that's a question that I'm definitely wondering too. And you look at this, though, it gives them the option to kind of ease Nathan McKinnon in. Not that he's a guy that, kind of has a slow switch. Obviously, I watched him out here play with the Halifax Mooseheads. He's a guy who likes to go. He's a gamer. But you look at the guys on the Avalanche that have been rolling without him, like Nazim Kadri, Cale Makar, Landeskog, Brandon, Burakovsky. They're all doing well. So maybe you ease Nate McKinnon in and you say, hey, don't take a back seat, but just take a lesser role as you ease your way back into the lineup. And of course, he'll dominate the game as he does, but it gives him the opportunity not to have to be the focal point coming right back in.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'd welcome that. I mean, when he went down, the Avs were not a very good team at that moment. They were losing hockey club, and I think Nathan was trying to do too much by himself. He was, trying to stick handle through two guys a lot and getting broken up. They only had one goal so far this year. I know he hasn't played as many games as everybody else, but one goal. He's still averaging a point a game at least. So the points are there. The point is, maybe he's going to be a much better player when he thinks he doesn't have to do as much. The Avs did go into this season losing two key forwards, and I think maybe I'm just speculating here. Maybe he felt like he had to do a little bit more offensively and trying to press a little bit. And hopefully he doesn't feel that coming back, because goal scoring has not been the problem for the Avalanche without Nathan McKinnon. I think it's it's close to 6 goals a game. I think they average without him in those 8 games. So it's crazy. Like I said, hopefully Nathan just able to find his way back in to a lineup that pretty well played pretty great without him.
Yeah, no, they've been absolutely rolling. I mean, the lowest goal total on the winning side of things I'm looking here is, I believe, a 4-2 win over the Vancouver Canucks and a 4-2 win over and so right. That's the least they've scored in a win. I mean,
that's really
obviously
good.
You don't look at the loss, but I mean, he's going to come in, like I said, and not having to be that focal point. A guy I want to ask you about, though, that kind of is a focal point, especially coming into Toronto, is Nazim Kadri. Absolutely having himself a season right now. What have you noticed from Nazim Kadri this season, with the Colorado Avalanche, and what is he bringing that maybe he was lacking in other seasons? Because he's on fire right now.
Yeah, I thought he he had a good first season with the Avs. I think it was 19 goals. And he was very good in the playoffs in 2022. Like he was among definitely my favorites until the whole team, half the team anyway, got injured and they lost in 7 games to Dallas. But he kept scoring right away. I mean, he had an unbelievable first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Last year was an off year. It was crazy year with the lockdowns and no fans, and I think I'm sure that's not a factor, but maybe it was a little bit. I think Nazim feeds off the crowd. He loves the attention. He loves the fans, cheering, and he's an emotional guy. I think he plays off his emotion. We all know what happened in the playoffs again, another suspension. I personally thought the sentence was way too severe for what happened. I mean, 2 to 4 games I could have seen, 8. Come on, too much. Everybody was confused by the prior conviction rules too. He thought he was not a habitual offender at that point, and the league just basically said, "Yeah, you are," despite the rules not being clear. So, this season, I think he came into camp with a chip on his shoulder. I talked to him over the summer right after, in I think July, and he's like, "Can't wait for camp. I got a lot to prove this year. I really want to get the fans back on my side. I want to get the team back on my side." And by the way, he's in a contract here too as a UFA.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys going off in contract.
I don't want to sound a little cynical. That's not me, right? I mean, I'm laughing because it is me. Yeah, it does seem to be a coincidence. Guys in their last years often have a pretty big year. Go figure. But hey, however the Avs, whatever's motivating him, the Avs want to keep it going at least for the rest of this year.
No, definitely.
Has he kind of toned the emotion down this year, or does he still play with the heart on his sleeve? Because when he was in Toronto, he really liked to, like you were saying, feed off the crowd. Has he found a way to control that, or does he get the red mist sometimes?
Yeah, the thing is with him, and this is his 3rd year here now, he has played like a Boy Scout most of the time, almost all the time. He's done nothing chippy otherwise except for the one hit on Justin Falk. It was a hard hit, but the kid had Falk had his head down coming over the middle, and that's when bad things often happen. He did hit him with a bad hit, and I think he should have been a suspension. I just didn't think it should be 8 games and knocked it. Basically, that killed him last year. That absolutely killed the Avalanche not having Kadri in that second round against Vegas. Everything changed in that series when they couldn't, find a way to defend down the middle anymore. It seemed like the rest of that series, and he's otherwise been very, very good here with as far as his temper and his antics go. Just again, the one thing happened. But otherwise, there's been nothing on his rap sheet whatsoever here. Not even egregious, horrible penalties or anything. Yeah, he takes some penalties still, but nothing dirty, and it's all been blotted out by that one mistake against Falk. Well,
yeah, everything like that is always amplified, right? I mean, that's the one thing everybody focuses on. But looking at the team page, I mean, 30 pims for Kadri, and then obviously right behind him or above him is Gabriel Landeskog with 31. So I mean, he's right up in there. And the story goes with Nazim Kadri too, is the refs aren't doing him any favors either. So they're going to call him by the book every single time.
Oh yeah, he got a 10-minute misconduct this year for just even looking at Jordan Binnington wrong.
Yeah.
Jordan Binnington took a helicopter swing with a stick at Kadri's head.
Yep. Kadri
said something, might have said a little chirping before that or after, and so they throw Kadri in the box too for 10 minutes. He really did nothing. It's like he even had a good line after that game, like I'm getting penalties for just talking now. He doesn't whine about it though. He definitely thought his suspension was unwarranted for those games, but he accepts his punishment, and he's come back, and hats off to him the way he's played. He doesn't sit and mope and whine and feel
He's
we
the
never-
UFA after this year. Do you think he comes back?
Let's say that again.
He's a UFA after this year. Do you think he can come back? Can this team make room for him, or do you think he moves on?
Tough question. Tough question there. I think they should sign him to an extension. I wrote a column saying that about a week or two ago. But yeah, I think they should bring him back. I don't know if he will though. I mean, they have got some high dollar players already, and now McKinnon's going to have to be ready for his new deal in a year or so. It's going to be tough to sign them to, 3 to 5 year deal. And I'm sure as a UFA, that's what he's going to want.
Yep.
I mean, why shouldn't he either? I mean, get the most money you can, that's for sure. But yeah, I think the Avs try to get him to a extension now. Maybe you get him at a lower number, and he gets a little more security and doesn't have to worry about UFA as much, or being terrible the rest of the year. Joe Sakic hasn't really addressed that much, but it's tough. If Alex Newhook keeps developing like he is, though, he could be the the 2C moving forward, and then that could make Kadri expendable. That said, I really like Kadri as a player, and I like him as a guy too. I think he's a tremendous guy, and yeah, so I think they should keep him. But I don't know. I would say that's borderline 50-50 at best.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's having a career year this year if he keeps going the way he is. And we all talk about guys getting up into their, 29, 30, 31 year age, and they want to hit that last home run. This is Kadri's best chance of that home run, maybe to get a pretty good dollar contract, maybe less than a James Van Riemsdyk going back to the Flyers kind of deal. But I'm wondering for you, you look at Naz and you say, okay, if he's not with this team next year, you talk about Newhook. What's the center hole look like? Obviously, if Newhook can't take those next steps and they don't bring back Kadri because of the big hit, and then of course you have to sign Nathan McKinnon, where do the Avs go from there? What other options do they have, Dater?
Well, you can always move Tyson Jones back to the center, but I don't think he's a second line guy at all. I think he's a third line guy, and that's what he is. JT Copper can play some center too. So again, though, I'm a little nervous about him as top six center. It's interesting. I think Newhook will be a 2C though. I think he's got the talent to do it, and I think he's got the shot to do it. He's going to have to work on his play away from the puck, though. I guarantee you that Jared Bednar is not always with his play away from the puck. But he keeps working at it. Hopefully, he can get there. They don't have a lot of top offensive prospects really left in the system. The only exception to that is Oscar Olsen, who plays with Barry Colt, who keeps tearing it up down there. But he's not a center naturally. So yeah, I think Newhook is your best bet, and that's probably what they're going to try and do because he is he's a young first round pick. But that said, I'd hate to see Kadri go for nothing. I think he's a really good player, and I think he's got 3 to 4 real good years left in him.
No, I definitely agree with you 100%. He's a guy that can bring a lot, just not on the offensive side, but obviously playing the body and doing those grinding things too.
Face-offs.
Yeah, face-offs, yes.
He's a
Face-offs.
good defense player. He's not a checker type guy that pounds you, but he's solid in his end. He makes simple plays, getting on the puck out of the zone, and he wins a ton of face-offs. So yeah, absolutely valuable.
Absolutely valuable. Another guy that I want to ask you about, obviously, is Bowen Byram. Young guy. We watched him with Team Canada here in Canada, the World Juniors. What's he brought to the Avs, and what makes him stand out? Because obviously we hear a lot about him and his game. I love this player, but I want to hear from you what you think about him.
Well, he's had a great year. I mean, of course, he's another concussion, maybe second one. I mean, he's okay now. He's playing. He played the other night. He was great. He's got great edges, boy. He's a good skater. He's got solid edges. He's got that sort of that pigeon-toed kind of skating style. It's really strong on his skates. Like, he doesn't get knocked off his feet. It ever seems like he's got a lot of he's got a lot of offensive talent too. He carries the puck well. He knows what to do with it usually when he gets to the other end. And I love him as a player. I just, worry about the kid with the concussion history. A couple people, longtime players have told me that he needs to learn to not carry the puck so much, maybe inviting himself as a target too much when you carry the puck. That can happen. Maybe a little more give and go to his game. Definitely got to keep his head up, obviously. But all signs are pointing to stardom if he's healthy. He was a lottery pick. So, I've had guys like Scotty Bowman call me up and tell me that, geez, I just love watching this kid play, and that's like, first of all, Scotty Bowman calling me is ridiculous, right? But he does. He'll call me and talk hockey sometimes, and first person he always talks about with me is Byram.
Yeah.
He just loves him. In fact, not to tell tales out of school, but I do think there was a disagreement at the Blackhawks draft table over him, and I think Scotty wanted to, highly advocated for Blackhawks to take Byram with that, third pick, and they ended up taking Kirby Dach instead. He's a good player too, but I guarantee you Scotty wanted Byram over Dach. So, yeah, the Avs really love him. He was sort of incomplete player last year with another, the injuries, and then he had a COVID. It was just a nightmare, really, last season for him. But, boy, he sprang out of the gate this year with points and great D. Played 22, 23 minutes a night. If he stays healthy, he's an absolute blue-chip stud.
Another question I have for you about the Avalanche before we change gears. I got two more for the Avalanche here before we change gears to the Maple Leafs. I want to ask you about Bednar, obviously signing a 2-year extension. What does he bring to this organization for stability-wise, coaching-wise? Obviously, he seems to have the ear of the player. We talk about coaches so often losing the ears of players and not being able to get through the message. He seems to be able to get the message through just fine, and this group really responds to him. You look at the fact, no Nathan McKinnon, but this team still took a step without him. Obviously, that's attributed to game planning and coaching. So what do you see from Bednar, and what can we expect from a coach like that going forward? Obviously, the ultimate goal is a cup, but he's got this team marching to a beat, and I think that'll stay with him at the helm.
Well, I think so. I like Jared Bednar as a coach and a person. Tremendous guy, first of all. Don't let anybody kid you. If the media loves the guy as a coach, they're gonna, it's gonna get you a little more favorable press no matter what. That's just a fact. But this is a tough business, and we all were basically. Earlier in the season, I was writing a couple things like, I wonder if Jared's in trouble, or 4 and 5. I think they were losing games they shouldn't have lost, and it's like, wow, how long is the leash here? And then boom, all of a sudden, game day in Seattle, they sprang a 2-year extension on us, and I didn't quite see that coming. I don't think anybody did. But I think it's great for him, and he's got the confidence of Joe Sakic. That's for sure. So it's up to the players to respond to him now. The GM, the organization has said, this is our coach. And I think the players respect and buy into what he does. And I think they think he's their leader in that way. That said, there's a ton of pressure on him and the team. This team should have beaten Vegas last year in that 2-0 series they blew. And that remains kind of a black mark on the team and his tenure still. The motto this year is like unfinished business. That's their sort of unofficial motto. And like I said, pressure. But whatever happens this year, Jared's going to be paid for 2 more beyond that. No
matter what. Maybe it's just a nice little thank you present.
So, no matter what, but this is wins and losses still business, and I think he'll be back no matter what next year. But let's say they, get beat in the first round. There's going to be some pressure on him again. I just think, I think they're confident enough to think that won't happen. But like I said, boy, this is a 6th year coaching, so it's quite a while now, and he's got to get to that conference finals at least at some point soon to get the fans off his back, because there is still a pretty good contingent of fans that are calling for his head a lot every time something goes bad. I mean, that's just life. And Bednar knows that, and doesn't let that affect him at all. He knows that the fans going to call for his head a lot. It does not affect him whatsoever. I think that translates to the players too. They have a pretty calm demeanor as a team, and I think that stems a lot from Bednar.
No, for sure. Well, if he's got the backing of Sakic, what are the players going to say to him, really, right? I mean, once the confidence is there, you can't really challenge the coach beyond that. And now he's going to be there for 2 more years. So that's already instilled. Right. So, I mean, if you're going to have any pushback, you might be the guy going out the door before the coach. So nobody wants that, especially if you got a team like Colorado that everybody expects to contend and go on a little bit of a run. The last thing I want to ask you about the Avs, and it's a tie into the Avs, not really anything to do with the organization now, but obviously the Montreal Canadiens are in the search for him, and Mr. Patrick Waugh has made his intentions known that he'd like to be the GM of the Montreal Canadiens. I want to know from you, do you think Patrick Waugh is doing that to be for real and come back to the NHL in that capacity? And do you think that he would be a good GM for the Montreal Canadiens? Given all the noise and problems they're having, would adding a voice like his be the solution?
Listen, I'm a Patrick Waugh guy. I mean, even though he's chewed my head off many, many times, covered him for 8 years as a player and 3 more as a coach. I've got the battle scars to prove it. Trust me. He's not an easy guy to get to know and stay in his good graces at times. But I love him. I've always loved him. I've always loved being around him. He's never dull. He's a winner. He's confident. He's good. He knows what the media wants, and he gives you good quotes. And I've always loved being around Patrick Waugh. He can whip me, verbally with the whip all he wants, but I usually am like, Patrick Waugh,
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid watching him play and growing up near Boston, and it's like, Patrick Waugh. I just always thought he was an icon. And listen, let's do it. I think he's great. I think he should be the GM of Montreal Canadiens. I think it'd be a fun thing to see happen. It's not like the guy has no experience in the NHL as a management guy. He was a coach of the team for 3 years, won the Jack Adams Award his first year as a coach in Colorado. He was the vice president of hockey operations here as well, so he made quite a few personnel decisions. Could he have run-ins with other people in the front office over personnel decisions? Sure, he could.
Yeah.
He's done that. He had that with Sakic here. He wants to be in charge. But if he has a GM role, I mean, he is going to be in charge for most everything, right? So I think it'd be great, man. I know that there's, questions about Patrick's temperament and all that, but, he's not some wild loose cannon, really. He's just, he's coached the Red Parts for several years there. There really hasn't been anything off the ice at all, or, any of the temper things that, he's had at times. Remember that his son fought and, that whole thing. But I think I would do it. I mean, but I'm speaking a little bit biased and selfish as a media person, probably. I just know that he was a legend in that organization for a long, long time, and I think fans, made their peace with him leaving there. I think, most of them anyway, and he's come back. He's been honored by the team before, and I think I'd roll the dice. I mean, he's a smart guy. He knows hockey inside and out. That's all he's ever cared about. He's got an eye for talent, I think, and I think I would do it. I would do it, and definitely think to get the fans excited in the way. And Patrick, just number one thing about Patrick, he does not want to lose. I mean, he hates losing. So.
Well, that's one thing that I was going to say. You bring in Patrick Waugh, you're bringing in the passion, and that's something Montreal fans love. Is they love management, players, all through the ranks. They love the passion, and he would bring that in spades to the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah,
dynamic would be really interesting too.
Up top, ownership and everything. Patrick's one of their own. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Waugh was the Montreal Canadiens for so many years. Bring him back. I'd say do it.
No, I'm with you 100%. Okay, well, let's switch gears here. Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado Avalanche in town to play them tomorrow night. Wondering for you, from an outsider's perspective, you talked about Colorado stumbling out of the gate. The Toronto Maple Leafs did the exact same thing. Same questions were being asked about Keefe and Dubas. For you, you look at this squad now, they're absolutely rolling. What is an outsider's perspective on the Toronto Maple Leafs? And I'll get you to break down a couple of players afterwards, but just the overall organization right now. What do you think?
Well, it looks good to me. I mean, they're a good team again. They, of course, have had their playoff problems, just like Colorado has. But it looks all good to me. I've always been just, an honor to just, every time I'm in Toronto, it's like, wow, I'm in the cathedral of hockey. That and Montreal are the two most awe-inspiring hockey cities for me. I mean, I've always said, like, the guy in the last row of the nosebleed knows more about hockey in their little finger than I ever have. So it's always been just a treat to be there. I remember walking around the old Maple Leaf Gardens and looking around at those photos, and God, I remember just being so blown away. I'm in Maple Leaf Gardens, just incredible. Going to the Golden Griddle across the street. I remember that too. I love Toronto. I won't be there for the game tomorrow. There's a lot of logistical problems and stuff with this Canadian trip. But it's a little off track there. I mean, I just love being in Toronto. I think it's just incredible honor to always be there. And every time the Avs are there, there's a huge bunch of Avs fans that come out of the woodwork from Quebec and near. They've got a lot of fans in Canada. I'll tell you, the Avs have a ton of Canadian fans. And then, of course, a lot of that has to do with Quebec. But I think it looks good. They've got to win a playoff round. That's the bottom line.
That's the easy answer.
There's no getting around that. They've got to get that first playoff victory at least, and then move on from there before they break the cup curse. Because if they don't do it this year with that squad, something seriously cursed. I expect them to be a playoff winner this year and go deeper into the playoffs.
Well, you're getting everybody excited. And you know what? Everybody's starting to say that now. If you look on Twitter, even people that don't cheer for the team and are usually really negative towards the Toronto Maple Leafs because of what they haven't accomplished, they've been saying that this team here, now I know it's November and we just talked about 60 games left to go. We got a lot of runway, different things like that. But this team looks more focused on the defensive aspect. They can beat you at any different kind of game. They can beat you defensively. They can play you physically. They can play you offensively. They can light up the scoreboard if they have to. And here's the big thing. One thing that I've said about the Toronto Maple Leafs this year, and you probably said about Colorado with the goaltending they've had over the past couple of years as well, is timely saves are huge. And the Leafs were not getting that when Freddie Anderson was the goaltender, but they are now. They're getting those timely saves at key moments of the game where either they're up by one or they're trailing by one, and they need that one save to keep them in, to swing the momentum. And they're getting that from Jack Campbell, a goaltender that if the season ended right today would probably be your Vesna Trophy winner, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I wonder for you, you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, what problems do they pose towards the Colorado Avalanche?
Well, the Avs probably match up pretty well up front. The Avs aren't a huge team still, but they have some good size on that top line. I mean, Landeskog and Rannon are big guys, and they play pretty physical too. Especially Rannon this year. He's throwing his weight around. He's just his nickname is the Moose. I was gonna say he's playing like a horse. No, he's actually really has been a moose. He's big. I think that the Avs still, I'd give them an edge defensively over the Maple Leafs still right now, even though the Leafs are playing better defensively for sure. I don't think the Leafs have a guy like Cale Makar on their squad, and I think that's the difference right there. The guy's just an unbelievable player. I mean, he's unreal. I mean, he's unlike almost any player I've ever seen. I mean, asked today about who he compares to historically, and I really couldn't come up with too many people at all because he plays such a different style game in a way. He's efficient, but he's so skilled, and he skates like a figure skater out there at times. He can do all kinds of weird little tricks with his skates, and when he walks the blue line, he can go backwards and forwards real quick in small spaces. So to answer your question, though, I think these are two well-matched teams. I think if they were Stanley Cup Final, this would be a 7-game series, and boy, wouldn't that be fun? I'll sign off on that right now if we can get that going. Man, if I could go to Toronto for a Stanley Cup Final, especially the team I cover, I mean, I'd be in hog heaven. And isn't something still called Toronto Hogtown?
Oh yeah, we definitely call it Hogtown.
Yeah.
So Hogtown, the Big Smoke, you name it.
I'd be in hog heaven and Hogtown right there. That's my league series. I would love it.
Listen,
I'm happy with a second round, to be honest. Like, just give us a second round and we'll be fine.
So you look at this. You look at this Maple Leaf squad. Obviously, and you match it up player by player. Obviously, we have no Cale Makar. When Nathan McKinnon is on his game, he's all worldly, and the closest all worldly guy we have is Austin Matthews. Maybe close second, Mitch Marner. That's our dynamic duo. But McKinnon and Rantanen obviously tearing up the league, and we all know what they can do. And then you bring in a guy like Nazim Kadri, who's having a great season as well. I'm wondering tomorrow night for Naz coming back to Toronto. Is there going to be any emotion for him? Is there going to be any, hoopla with him? I mean, obviously in Toronto, he's going to see the guys. He's probably going to go see his parents, do all the different things that guys do when they get into their hometowns. But do you see Naz having any, I would say, ill effects coming into Toronto?
No, I don't think so. He did have one game back in Toronto two seasons ago. So he has been back as an Av once. And he did. He had his entire family in the stands. I remember typing my story after the game up in the press box, and it's like, I don't know, he had seriously like 60 people there sitting in the stand there. They all came back into the stands somehow after the game. I guess all the people he bought tickets for were still sitting there, and then Naz came out, his nice suit and tie and everything, and held court with them. I'm sure it's a special night, though. I know he loves Toronto still, and he thinks of that at home. I know I think he misses Toronto. I think he likes Denver, but let's face it, he's a Toronto guy, and so yeah, I'm sure he's having a really fine meal right now somewhere in Toronto with his family and friends and whatnot. I'm sure he's probably going to pick up a pretty good tab too.
So we're going to book it right here. You're saying that Naz is coming back in the offseason then?
I'll tell you, wouldn't shock me if the Leafs have the cap room. It wouldn't shock me. I'm not prepared to say he at all wants to leave Denver or anything like that. But I think if the Avs did not sign him and it doesn't work out, yeah, I think first place he'd want to go back to is Toronto. I mean, he loves Toronto. He's Toronto guy through and through, and I know he feels bad the way it ended there. So who knows? Yeah, it could happen. It happens all the time. Players go back to their old team, so it could happen.
Well, I hope for Colorado's sake he does stay there. Obviously, it's a good fit, and it seems like he's doing well there. So we want Naz to do well. We like him here. We love him here, and we love him back. But if you're having a good fit, go for a run, go have some fun, get a cup, do something with Nate. Bring that back so I can see the cup here in Nova Scotia again. I want to ask you the question around the NHL. Just one story for you that's not getting enough attention in your mind. What is it and why?
Wow.
On the spot.
Well, right now I would say that there's a lot of worry building again among the league about the COVID variant, Omicron.
Yep.
I can tell you that league people are very, very nervous about this. And just hoping it doesn't come to North American shores, because from what people are saying about it, the vaccines may not be effective against it right away. And it may be like 100 days till they can get the vaccines to, tweaked so they can fix this variant and be effective. I hate to say it, but I think that's a bubbling under the surface is worry that, we're going to have either more of a shutdown again, or back to no fans in the building, or a combination of both. That's for me, that's the underreported story right now, and I think the Olympics too are sort of a giant question mark too.
We're not going to the Olympics. That's not happening.
You don't think so? I mean, I don't think so either. But I know they want to. Well, the league, of course, doesn't.
I want the players to. I want to see best on best. But I do
too. I want to see the Olympics, even though I'm not a real Olympic guy when it comes to the pro game. I mean, I read up on the Olympics. I'm sort of a historian on the Olympics. I think it's better when it was all just amateurs and going back to Greece and all that. But of course we want to see Canada versus USA or hockey Olympics. Who doesn't? So, but I tell you, everybody's worried about the variants and what it's going to mean. That's the underreported story right now. Nobody really wants to talk about it because that's bad. People just don't want to go there again, right? None of us do.
No,
right?
I mean it's a dark place in everybody's mind, and I think we're all trying to work our way out of that.
It's creeping along here, and they find out it's highly contagious and the vaccines don't work. All bets are off. What's going to happen from there?
Well, that's what makes me nervous now. You look at the teams. You look at the Ottawa Senators, New York Islanders, Boston Bruins right now, Providence Bruins. Yep. It's ripping through the AHL. And then, of course, over here in Canada, we just had the Sudbury Wolves shut down all operations. 12 players on that team. I want to give a shout out to those guys. Hope everybody can get healthy and back to the ice and be okay. But it's starting to take hold again. It's not a story that we want to talk about. Obviously, we want to be positive on this show because it's an escape, but it is a reality. And I've long said, Dater, like last week we had Dennis Bernstein on. Everybody's beating the drum about going to the Olympics. I said, it doesn't make sense. Why do you want to send guys to the Olympics with all of this swirling around, which could just cause more problems? And then what happens if you have Team Canada, Team USA, Team Sweden, whatever team has an outbreak while they're over there? Then you're quarantining over there. Then you got to come back and quarantine again. And it makes more of a logistical mess. And it doesn't make sense to me to do all of that just to go play the Olympic Games. I know it's huge for players. I know it happens only every 4 years. I know it's a big thing, but here's the other side note to all of this. If this thing pops off the way that everybody's saying it might happen with the Omicron thing, is there may not be a Winter Olympics this year. It may get pushed, which, but I don't want to be doom and gloom, but you got to look at the real thing. And you're right. This is a story that nobody wants to touch because we're so tired of it. But it's one that really is affecting already this season. You have New York Islander games postponed, Ottawa Senator game postponed, Providence Bruins. You're going through this. The Boston Bruins can't call up any players right now with injuries.
And that's not even with the Omicron, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's not. I
was reading the stats today in South Africa where it apparently started, 10-fold increase in cases today as opposed to a couple days ago. So,
yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to, and here's the thing, people are going to get so upset about this, but at the same time, would you rather be safe and healthy and everything go well? Or would you rather things keep going the way that they are? And then next thing you know, you call somebody and they're not there. That's the thing that I keep going back to.
I mean, I've been as frustrated as anybody, and some of my real ultra liberal friends have gotten mad at me actually for being a little, sort of saying, I want to phrase this carefully here, but questioning some of the virus protocols and stuff, and do we need masks all the time and stuff like that, and everybody just jumps down my throat. That said, I'm pro-science. I'm a guy who wears my mask. I've got 2 vaccines and a booster. So I believe what the scientists tell me, not what some guy on Twitter says.
You have a right to be frustrated, though. We're all frustrated. I mean, at the end of the day, anything that hampers you from doing what you want to do, you will get frustrated. It's just the end of the day. That's what it is.
But the point I was going to make is the virus is going to win no matter what the players think or the people frustrated. If the scientists say this is deadly and we have no answer for it, then everything's going to get shut down again, and that's just the way it goes. And that's the way it should be. I mean, you want to play hockey or do you want to have a pandemic that kills a bunch of people? Yeah, no, we want people's safety first. No,
we definitely want safety first. Well, for me, a story that I think we'll switch gears here. We'll try to bring this one out and go finish it positively. A story that no one is talking about. It's a really good story for me, anyways. Is the Detroit Red Wings young players in Lucas Raymond and Maurice Seider. I want to talk about those two guys because positive to see two young guys breaking into the league and doing good things. These two young guys are on the Detroit Red Wings, a team that wasn't expected to do much. But hey, these two guys, Lucas Raymond's probably going to win the Calder. Seider's right behind him. Wondering for you, you look at young guys coming in the league. We talked about it earlier. What do you think about these two young fellas, and what do you think about the Calder race this year? We'll finish off with some fun questions.
Well, first of all, I'm a huge backer of Steve Yzerman. I mean, the guy's absolute, just a great GM, great hockey mind. I mean, so for him, when he came on board with Detroit, I knew it would only be a matter of time before that team starts to get a lot better. They still have some issues, but those forwards, Raymond and Seider look like, I'm not going to compare them to Zetterberg and Datsuk just yet, but, they always seem to groom those kind of young guys very well. And I think with Yzerman in control again, it's going to be there. I mean, they're a good team. And Yzerman stole that goalie from Carolina too, Larceny there. I like that team a lot. They do have some defensive problems still with their top six, but and depth-wise on the third and fourth line. But I would say Raymond's gonna win the Calder the way it's going. Maybe Bowen Byram will give him a push, but I think it looks like Raymond's trophy to lose right now.
I'll follow that up with another one that I'm keeping my eye on here, and that's the Vesna race. Who do you have in your, if you had a vote, who would you be voting for Vesna right now?
Oh boy, you put me on the spot. I haven't looked at all the top percentage stats right in front of me, but based on, I guess based on the record, I mean, Jack Campbell will probably win it. Jack Campbell's probably been the best goalie in the league right now. Maybe you could make a case for Washington and Samsonov. He's been good. Out west, I don't know if there's been a dominant goalie so far. I think not really. Darcy Kemper has not been dominant here at all. I thought he'd be in the Vesna conversation this year, but so far I don't think he'd be in the top five. I think Jack Campbell's your guy. Toronto Maple Leaf, Jack Campbell. Isn't a winner. I'll go with that.
Has he done enough to get himself on the Olympic team, do you think? Or does he still need to do a little bit more?
Say it again.
Has he done enough to get himself onto the Olympic team? Or does he need to do a little bit more?
You know what? You guys probably are better on that than I am. One of the weaknesses I have is, definitely pick talk probably and who should be on Team Canada. If he's a Vesna candidate though right now, why not? Yeah, put him out there as a Canada guy. I mean, I like. I'm always, I love Fleury, of course. I think he's a big game guy, and I'm always thinking Fleury could win it. But he's in Chicago and not kind of falling out of the radar of everything right now. They're not a very good team. But
Soupy would be playing for Team USA, so he'd be trying to beat out like Gibson and Hellebuck and.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. I know. Right, I got it wrong for Campbell. That's why I knew.
Listen, we'll take him gladly as a Canadian boy because he fits in well up here.
Me up on nationalities in the Olympics. I thought he might be a dual citizen, but no, not at all. So scratch it.
All good.
I think Campbell should be an Olympian. Let's just say it that way. I mean, he's been great for the Maple Leafs, and he was good last year too.
Yep.
So he's proved it.
Well, we're looking forward to tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche. Should be a good game. Dater will definitely be chirping you a little bit if the Leafs get out in front, and we'll run and hide if the Nathan Mckinnon machine starts scoring goals, and just duck and dodge your tweets from the rest of the night after that.
Yeah, thanks. I try to stay off Twitter as much as I can. It hasn't always been my friend, but I'll definitely be tuning in. And like I said, it's always fun to talk to people from the Toronto area and Nova Scotia. I've actually been in Nova Scotia as a little kid, so would love to go back. Actually, I've been to Halifax two times. So
we'd love to have you back.
hockey community, and boy, I mean, we got half the NHL Halifax guys, right?
Seriously, you do, yeah.
We lost Ryan Graves, but still got a bunch here, right? We got Newhook. No, he's not from.
He's in Newfoundland. We'll call it East Coast.
I'm sorry, I knew I'd get that wrong too. Of course, Newfoundland. But no, yeah, we still got Nate. Who else?
I'm drawing a blank too, man. Same thing as you. I'm drawing a blank. But you got Nate. Nate's the big one, obviously Graves, but you do have a strong contingent from the Halifax area and the Mooseheads for that matter. So, yeah, definitely dipping into the talent pool out here in the queue.
Yeah. All right.
All right, dear. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time, jumping on Offside Hockey Talk. We really appreciate it and look forward to your tweets tomorrow night, maybe having you on later on the season when the Leafs and Avs meet up again.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go.
Well,
This is Offside Hockey Talk, where hockey comes to talk.